Hi. So I wanted to talk today about a topic. Excuse me, I have my earpods in. That's not good. I wanted to talk about a topic called pattern surfing. I will explain what pattern surfing is, how to use it, who it is useful for. So, what is pattern surfing? Well, we can hear on the name it has something to do with pattern and surfing. Surfing forward momentum without much resistance. That's the goal. Pattern surfing is something that I have been working on a little bit. It's like a building theory that I've carried with me through my own personal development. So this will be a quick little intro. Maybe I don't really know how long this video will be, but let's see where we can take this. So let's go back to where me, Lucas, was 10 years old. I started playing this video game called Runescape. Runescape is an online world where you play with and sometimes against other players. There's an economy. You can level up things, skills, gain connections with other people, get a bigger bank account, become a better player, etc. It's a whole world filled with other players. And this world really captured my attention. I spent thousands of hours in this game, and there was always this huge resistance from my parents, right? That the time that I was spending in this game was a complete waste of time. I had to really fight and go against the grain to get my hours in this game. But I wouldn't be here speaking English, at least not at this level, without this game, for example. And in fact, I wouldn't be where I am today if I didn't have the opportunity to learn some of the lessons that I learned in this game. And I managed to translate from this game to eventually another game, a sport, a career, and eventually life. For me. So we are beginning to kind of untangle what pattern surfing is. And it doesn't really have to do with gaming. It can simply be learning a language. The more languages you learn, the easier it becomes to pick up new languages. Partly because the languages are from the same language family, but also because you learn that, oh, I'm going to go for the verbs first, I'm going to go for, the top 200 words most used, whatever. I don't really know how to learn languages, but I would assume that there is some strategy that starts building after a few languages. So that's an example of pattern surfing. Or, for example, if you become really good at a sport, you will be able to translate that, or you could translate that into a completely different sport. Because most people, when they start a sport, they start from scratch. They don't know how to improve, really. They start blaming external situations instead of looking at every situation as something that we can improve on. And this is something that doesn't matter where you come from, gaming, work, sport, life. Just recognizing that if you've spent 1,000 hours in one area, you can translate that into a new area. So, going back to this game, some skills that this game taught me was betrayal, was how to manage my time properly, how to learn a language, how to do research, how to build a community, how to go against other players, how to make money, how to increase my bank account. All these things were skills and experiences that I learned in one environment eventually I managed to translate these things into real life. But I really had to go against my programming that partly my parents and my surroundings had given me, that, oh, all of this time that I spent in this environment, whether it was a game or a sport or a career, was a waste of time, because it wasn't. It would be if I believed that it was. And it is a well-invested time if I believe that it was. If I allow my investments to be wise, they will kind of become wise. So back to this game. I started this game, Runescape, when I was about 10, and I managed to go from the absolute rookie territory, right? Not even speaking the language of the game, not understanding anything, to becoming the absolute top predator or Illuminati member, right? Top 0.001% something. Being a billionaire when my friends were, scraping coins was a journey. I had to be scammed multiple times. I had to completely start over my account, which was something that was very difficult to do. But I did it. Just that skill alone, being able to look at a situation and saying, hey, I want to be here, right now I'm here, and this requires a different path. That is something that is so valuable that most people never actually learn. They stay in a career for their whole life without applying themselves. But I could do that. I could later do that in a career. I could later do that even more personally with, oh, I have been thinking this way, and that has created a lot of trouble for me. So now I'm gonna take a step back and see what we can do about it. We are getting kind of closer to what the purpose of pattern surfing is about. It is not necessarily about translating a skill from a sport into a career, but actually turning it to ourselves, the person that we are, right? Taking that accountability from past experiences, becoming good at something. Why not become good at life? That's really my challenge here. Most people are not really happy, and they tend to blame external systems, right? Like the workplace, society, Illuminati, whatever. They tend to blame others for their issues. But if you've become good at something, there is a threshold that you had to cross for this accountability. And yeah, we are moving into what pattern surfing is supposed to give us, that lessons can come from anywhere. It doesn't matter which environment this lesson was taught. It is still an asset that can be translated into real life. We don't need to take life that seriously, but at the same time, we want to really be serious about life. It's this middle path, right? Of we don't want to just YOLO this life, or we don't want to be overly serious. But there's this middle path where we recognize that, we can be playful. We can use, there are really no rules. We can use past experiences to propel us into what we want to be. But if we listen to that other people tell us, oh, this was a waste of time, if we take that in and we identify with that, it will be a waste of time. But we can look at an environment where we have excelled, we have become decent in one area of life, translate that into a new area of life. This is like a challenge, right? So that is how I have managed to speed up my own development and actually turned out to be envelopment. I can actually go into that really quickly. Developing versus enveloping. Sometimes it's not about learning new things, right? Putting more things into our backpack. Sometimes it's about removing things from our backpack that we have learned, right? Just like we learn to jump a specific way or play a game a specific way, in order to improve, we had to like unlearn certain habits. So most people are like enveloping, learning, but actually the real development comes from like developing what we have learned, right? So yeah, that was just a quick tangent on developing versus enveloping. Might be worth a video on just that alone. If you are interested in development versus envelopment, feel free to let me know. But let's just end this brief explanation on pattern surfing. Lessons have patterns, and it doesn't matter if they are learned in school, in a game, in a sport, in a career. The end goal is to turn this accountability, these skills, to life, to us. Not whatever we do, but who we are. So, if you have become good at something ever, what did that take? How can you own these lessons and not have that lesson connected to a specific encapsulated space? How can you take that lesson and own it and dare to surf on that experience into new territories? I suppose that is the challenge here. So let's see where this pattern surfing ability takes us. Of course, I will be making more advanced, or simple rather, videos on pattern surfing in the future. But for now, this was just a brief introduction on the topic. It's not supposed to be advanced, it's supposed to be just empowering. So yeah, enjoy.